Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode 345. We are broadcasting this live and recording on October 4th, 2020. This week, we've got lots of news to talk about, stuff we've been watching lately, plenty to talk about. We'll get to that in just a little bit. As always, we like to welcome anyone new to the show. There's a couple different ways to listen and watch the show if you're not aware. Every Sunday night, or most Sunday nights, we broadcast the show live on YouTube at youtube.com/Flicker Effect. There is also a podcast version of the show. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, the iHeartRadio app, and basically wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for Flicker Effect. With that, I'm David Lotz. Joining me, as always, is Bobby Jackson.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
And Michelle Hillard.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
How's it going, guys? I want to wish Michelle, by the way, a happy birthday eve.
Aww.
Happy birthday,
Oh,
Michelle, almost.
happy birthday, Eve. Is there anything you do special for an Eve birthday?
Anticipation.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, we did a little celebration early this year and had cake, and I opened my present. So
This year?
This year.
This year?
What? Well, I mean, like I did it today, so a day before.
Oh, okay.
Like last
Oh.
year, we did it on my birthday because
Oh,
things just
early-
worked
okay.
out. So I'm saying, like this year,
I understand what you mean now.
like this year, we did cake and a present
Right.
a day early. We did this, today. So it's fine. Anyway.
I think Bobby and I both
I
thought you
see.
meant it like earlier this year, like a couple months
Oh,
ago.
no, I'm sorry.
We
Like,
celebrated your
Yeah,
birthday.
exactly. Exactly.
no. But you know, it would have really been like just a piece de resistance this weekend. Like just would have made this weekend.
The birthday present
the
you didn't
best.
get.
Oh, I think I know where she's going with this. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Wonder Woman 84. Yeah, that would have been this weekend. That would have been literally like Friday, like 3 days ago. Like, yeah, I'm a little sad.
The movie you'll wonder if you'll ever get to see in a movie theater.
It will happen, right?
Oh,
It's
I see
gonna
what you did there
happen.
with the wonder.
Oh, yeah. He's
I
funny.
was making a little joke.
I didn't even know I didn't. I'm sitting here going, what is he talking about? What did I do with the wonder?
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Anyways.
That's funny.
No, Wonder Woman 84 was supposed to come out this weekend, but it got moved to Christmas? When are we getting it?
As of right now, I think that's the plan.
So,
Yeah.
Christmas?
I definitely would cross those fingers. See what happens.
Christmas, right? Christmas?
Could definitely use this as a good segue, as No Time to Die is now moved again.
It's Easter?
Easter weekend.
Man, we
As of
like
right
put movies
now.
on holidays. Easter.
Seems like a perfect weekend for a Bond movie.
Oh, totally appropriate. Yeah. Let's celebrate Jesus and then watch James Bond kill and mutilate and murder and blow stuff up. It'll be awesome.
Well, in this case, Bond and Jesus would have something in common.
They would.
No time to die. So
No time to die, baby. He is risen.
All right, with that, we're out of here.
oh man.
We'll
Yeah.
eventually get to
Yeah.
watch movies in theaters again, right? Like more of them. I know we got a little
Well,
spoiled with
see-
Tenant, but
Well, you get to
know.
watch them in a Regal theater, though? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. So with James Bond moving, it ended up actually moving, which makes it kind of funny, but it ended up moving Fast 9 off of its spot.
Oh yeah.
Which they were the first to move in the first place when the whole pandemic thing broke out. They moved a whole year, and everybody was like, "Wow, why didn't you just move it a few months?" And
Yeah.
they said, "Nah, we're just getting out of the way completely and just making
Right.
it a full year later." And now everything's starting to push into next year. And then they were like, "Well, I guess we
Moving
won't
even
open
farther.
around the same time as Bond." So yeah, so they're kicking theirs down the road a little bit.
That's true. I didn't think about that. That had been a year that they already pushed out.
Yeah.
All the things.
All the things moved. Yeah. What? Cineworld. So that's kind of, this Cineworld news has kind of been updated a little bit
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what we heard. What was it, a day or two ago? Was it yesterday? I don't know. It's
Yeah, we heard things were no
Yesterday, I
bueno.
think it
the
was yesterday.
UK theater chain Cineworld announced there was word that they were just closing, right? And then the latest I read
Yeah.
today is that they tweeted like that it sounds like that they're still discussing whether or not they're going to close Regal theaters here in the US, which they own temporarily. Or they're all closed temporarily and they're discussing whether or not it's going to be permanent. I'm not really
Oh,
clear on what's happening there.
it
Me
just doesn't
either.
sound like
When
they.
you
Yeah.
sent that, it just sounded like when I saw the email or the text that you sent out and looked at the story, I read through it a couple of times because I was like, well, this messaging isn't quite clear because I don't understand. Are they saying they're closing permanently? And that was the thing I just basically kind of came away with because I felt like if it was a temporary thing, it would have stated so in the story. It would have said they'll reopen sometime in the spring, maybe, or something. But there was no indication of them saying in the story a plan to reopen. And if you're laying off all those employees, to me, that means you're shutting down. You're not just kind
Right.
of closing
Right.
for a little while. I mean, that was at least the takeaway I got. So,
Right.
yeah, it doesn't still sound like they've kind of come out and said exactly what's the case there.
Well, the update I saw as of this morning, I think it was via a tweet. I'm reading from a Deadline article from this morning, which is they said, we can confirm we are considering the temporary closure of our UK and US cinemas, but a final decision has not yet been reached. Once a decision has been made, we'll update all staff and customers as soon as we can. That was a tweet from Cineworld Cinemas this morning at 10:57 a.m.
Did they initially come out with this story or did someone break the story? Because I
That I
feel
don't
like
know.
if they broke the story about them, I want to say I think someone else broke the story because I think that if they had initially came out with that story, you think that they would have it all straight as to exactly what their plan was before they
Right.
were to come out with it. So I think someone kind of got word or got wind that they were going to be doing this and put it out there.
Yeah,
That sounds like sound logic to me.
I agree. That's what it seems like, but I'm not sure. I can't remember from the original article I saw whether or not it was a officially confirmed kind of thing or just kind of the rumor mill.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like on one side, like have I been impressed with Regal theaters? Not really. And a Regal theater is actually the closest theater that David and I have to where we are, and it's
Yeah.
the easiest one for us to go to. It's definitely by far the closest. But we almost like never go there just because we always seem to have interesting experiences there, and I've had bad experiences at other Regals. So part of me is kind of like, oh, I'm not super sad about this. Another part of me is like, well, actually, I am sad. Like, if Regal closes, and I know AMC's been on the fence about their future, like, it sets a precedence
no,
of worry for the future of all theaters. So now I'm starting to go, well, crap.
It's whatever you think of Regal. It's bad news if you're
it's not good news. It's
if you're a
bad.
fan of seeing movies in a movie theater. Because
Yeah.
what I mean, we're talking about the number 2 theater chain here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
It's
good.
not good
And I
news.
mean, I think when it comes to Regal, it's a kind of a case by case basis. Your experience with certain Regal,
yeah,
I mean, we're
for
not
sure.
saying anything bad about Regal. Regal's actually the particular Regal theater you're talking about, Michelle. Actually, that used to be my go-to. It used to be like the one theater in town that I was like, man, I go here to get good projection and good sound, and it's always spot on. And who knows, management changed or something, and that's not the case anymore. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, it'll be a bummer no
Yeah.
matter what you think of Regal
Well,
to have Regals closed for sure.
No, for sure.
well, and then that's only part of the equation because if Regal closes, how long before AMC decides to follow
Right.
suit
Exactly.
and do the same thing? So,
That has
and
me.
that's the biggest chain in the U.S. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
sticky. It's a sticky situation, and I don't know. I sent you guys an article that I saw earlier in the week, so I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but it was talking about Bill and Ted, the movie that just came out for them. Well, it was interesting because they did something that I hadn't heard of anyone else doing before, and to me, it seems like it might be a good situation to where it could be good for the studios and for the theaters, where they decided to release Bill and Ted on VOD when it came out a few
Right.
weeks ago, but
Right.
they also released it in theaters and drive-in. And
Right.
normally that's a big no-no to the exhibition chains. They're like, no, we're not going to show your movie in theaters if you're going to show it on video on demand at the same time. There's no
Right.
day and date. We're not going to do that.
Right.
But apparently they worked out a deal to where they did the split for the box office tickets to be 70% goes to the theaters and 30% goes to the studio.
Oh,
Now, anyone
wow.
that really knows, a lot of times that's flipped. It's usually like 60-40. Like
Yeah.
the studios take 60 and the box office takes, or the theaters take 40%. So this seems like it's a good situation to where now if people are going to go see Bill and Ted or some other movie that's in the theaters and they feel comfortable going to theaters, the box office will be in the favor of the theaters to be able to get more of that money, and probably concession sales as well, which is where they really make the bulk of their money. And if someone doesn't feel comfortable going to the theater, they still have the option to watch it at home. So I hope at some point that the studios realize that they can't just keep pushing these movies out and expecting the theaters to just hold on and wait until
Right.
things get better. I mean, everyone keeps saying that someone that's involved within the situation, that it's not going away anytime soon. So you either have to figure out a way to work within the parameters of just living with this and trying to take all precautions, or trying to play this game of chicken and seeing what's going to happen, which no one knows. So I think that's the more dangerous game. And to me, the more ideal situation would be to uh, basically do a switch for a specific amount of time, to where they say, okay, you
Mm-hmm.
guys can have this much of the box office comparatively to what it used to be for this period of time until it can revert back somehow. But I don't know. It just seems like they don't want to really do anything in changing a system that's worked into their advantage for so many years. They don't want to shift that or do anything different. But yet, by playing that game, it seems like everyone will lose, and it will
Right.
change the way we watch movies from now until the end of time if they don't really do something to try and help save the theater going experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of theater going experiences, though, real quick, Michelle, you didn't join us last week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't get a chance to talk about Tenant.
Yeah, so it's the first movie I've seen in a theater since all this happened. And I'll say I thought the experience was fine. Like I thought they did a really good job with the setup of everything and the theater itself. Yeah, no, it was like it felt normal, but at the same time it was weird because it was just so dead. There's just so nobody there. So that was kind of the interesting part. Honestly, was just the lack of people. But yeah, that's about it for the theater part. As far as Tenant goes itself, I really liked Tenant a lot. I would not say that it's one of my favorite Chris Nolan's, but I did enjoy it a lot. And yeah, I definitely need to see it again. I don't know if I need to see it in the theater. If I do, that's like a bonus. But at this point, I'm willing to wait to even just watch it at home. But I'm looking forward to my second viewing of that because I feel like 85% of the film, all good, lock that in my head. There's still a good 10 to 15% I'm going, maybe just another viewing to clarify like some things. But no, that movie was really, really good. Not my favorite Chris Nolan, but definitely a quite spectacular film. And it's definitely an interesting way of telling a story for sure. And now I can't think of his first name, but the lead actor, Washington, what's his first name?
John David Washington.
David.
John. Man, like I was loving him in Black Klansman, but yeah, no, this guy just does not disappoint. He is a spectacular actor, and he's doing what I think we already agreed that was going to happen, was that he's just going to get better and better with every film, and I think he's going to have he has really great acting career ahead of him for sure. And I think we're going to see him rise to become just as big of a star as his dad is, like for sure. If not even bigger. Like he's quite good. And his performance that I thought was spectacular. And Rob Pat did pretty good in that too, actually. I was surprised, which makes me even more hopeful again for Batman or the Batman. So yeah, that's what was the giggling? There's chuckles.
Oh, it was just because the way you said the Batman. But
but anyways, that's all I have on Tenant that I can really talk about without spoilers. Obviously,
I mean, yeah, it's we had the same conversation last week. Bobby, you said the same thing the week before. There's not a lot to say.
You can't really
without
talk
talking about spoilers with
yeah,
that movie.
you can't really talk about.
I mean, any Christopher Nolan movie, really.
Yeah,
Talking spoilers.
It's Fight Club, So
yeah.
maybe Dunkirk.
Right. Yeah, Dunkirk. Dunkirk was probably one of his movies that, feel free to talk
yeah,
about
it was
it.
one of the only.
Already.
Yeah, we know what history did. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That one's okay.
Anyways, that's all I got.
And you
did
probably
find-
know, Bobby. You've probably been paying attention. I have not been paying attention to box office. Like, any guesses on how much Tenant has made domestically
Ooh.
so far?
Yeah, I'm gonna get the number wrong, but I did just see something today where I think it said it made 45 million total domestic box office.
45.1.
Yeah. Okay.
Five weeks of release. That's just crazy.
It's crazy considering I know that had COVID not happened and this movie came out when it originally was supposed to, and just all the things that 2020's crap show is. It's like that movie. God, that movie would have been. I mean, what, 4 times that? Like,
I mean,
It definitely would have
Easily.
made a lot more
Yeah.
than what it did make.
it's.
I'm looking
It's-
up something now because
And I mean, 45 million is not anything to laugh at for most films out there. Most filmmakers would strive for that, but
well, I mean, the budget
This
on
is-
Tenet was probably.
God,
I
right?
I don't have that number in front of me, but
No, it did
lot.
it did a fraction of what it should have done, and
you know what the number 2 movie was this weekend, Michelle?
that's what I was going to talk about actually. But go ahead.
I have no idea.
Yeah, Hocus Pocus. The
The re-release.
Yeah, it's a theatrical
Hocus
re-release
Pocus.
of Hocus Pocus right
That's
now.
funny.
This weekend Tenet made 2.7 million. Hocus Pocus made, a hair under 2 million, 1.925.
How crazy is that?
It's not bad for a movie that came out in the 90s.
Right.
That's like how Jurassic Park had the best summer since its release. Back in 99, 95, 96, 95. Anyways.
Yeah.
I
think
didn't even
it's
know
one
it
of
had
those-
been re-released. Sorry, Bobby, go ahead.
No, I think it just did. I think it just did this weekend.
Yeah, I think they
obviously we're into
specifically
the
released it on
Halloween
October
season.
1st. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I wasn't even aware they were doing it. I had no clue.
Oh, you didn't?
Oh.
Oh, yeah. There's a few theaters.
Well, there's
around
a lot
us that
of-
are doing it.
Yeah, I think there must be a listing that goes out to the theaters of what they can show of movies that are already been out, classic movies, because it seems like Empire Strikes Back is in the theaters again right now. I've seen some like Bridesmaids and just some different types of movies, but it seems consistent. Like I would check the theater for Regal, or I would even check AMC, and they were still having some of the same movies as older movies that are playing in those theaters. So I guess the studios are like, here's the movies that we're offering you guys that you can show, and sort of you can take it or leave it kind of thing. And I think that's why there seems to be a consensus of some of these movies that are playing out right now, like Hocus Pocus. And I'm sure with this being the month of October, maybe we'll start to see some other ones. I think I saw one of the other ones was A Nightmare on Elm Street. So maybe we'll start seeing more scary movies coming
Yeah.
out in the theaters to be able to see since we're in October.
I think they're specifically releasing one of the Elm Streets to theaters, re-releasing it. And then what was it? Dream Warriors? Was that the 4th one? Anyways,
Honestly, I don't
I
remember.
thought it
So
was
I
the
think-
third one.
Okay, yeah, it's the third one. So they're re-releasing Dream Warriors, and I know that because our art theater that we have that we go to, they're doing a couple of not horror movies, just Halloween kind of ish movies throughout the month of October, and that's one that they have listed. And then I saw there's another theater on the other side of Orlando in by Disney, and they're showing it too. And I was like, that's awfully specific that they're both showing the exact same Elm Street. So I'm thinking maybe they're specifically releasing that Elm Street. So, anyways, I guess. I'm really kind of hoping that somebody will put Princess Bride back out. I want to watch that in the theater again. I love Princess Bride. It's
Wouldn't
super not
surprise me.
Halloweeny, but it's a comfort movie for a lot of people.
Basically, anything's up for grabs at this point.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, at least for AMC. Who knows about Eagle?
Wherever else you can see a movie.
So now, did
Yeah.
you go watch Hocus Pocus in the theater?
Me?
Did I?
No, Bobby.
No, I did not. Although I did see a movie in the theater, actually. Yeah, this movie, it's interesting. It's I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Ava. It has
Yes.
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't.
That's the one with
I don't know where
Jessica
I heard
Chastain,
of it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where I heard of it from, but I think it just got on my radar within the last couple days. Someone mentioned it, and I had seen no promotion for it, not a trailer, nothing. But it has Jessica Chastain, it has John Malkovich, Common, Gina Davis, and Joan Griffard, Colin Farrell as well. And she.
I have one question. I've been curious about this, and the only thing I've seen on it was the trailer that plays on Apple TV when you go into the Apple Movies segment of Apple TV.
It's probably the same trailer, I'm sure.
So it's probably the same trailer. But as soon as I found out Gina Davis was in it, I was like, is this somehow linked with... Oh, no, I can't think of the movie that she did with Samuel L. Jackson back in the 90s.
Kiss Goodnight?
Yeah, is it linked with Long Kiss Goodnight? Because if it is, I'm super jazzed about this film.
No, that would be cool, but no, it's not.
Oh, okay. I was just like,
its own
dude, I was like, that'd be so epic if it was like, this is the next generation from Gene. Oh, anyways.
No, before you go on, Bobby, I was going to say too, like I'd never heard of this either until being in the Apple TV app. It popped up as because you can rent it in Apple TV right now.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but that's the only reason I
Yeah,
knew
well,
about it.
So how about the movie?
I would say it's maybe okay to watch it if it's available for free. I don't know that I would necessarily go and
Oh, wow.
pay on Apple TV to watch it. It's not a bad movie. I would say that it's not awful or like a chore to get through. It's an hour and 36 minutes, but honestly, I do feel like it was a little bit longer than its runtime suggests. The thing that I found that I didn't care for in the movie was, one, it just had a lot of similarities to other movies in this genre where it's women who kind of kick ass kind of thing. And it's interesting that a lot of these movies that have these women that do these really good stunt work and are these assassins, they all have like one word titles, and it's usually the name of the character. Because there was the one that I saw, I remember last year, I think it was called Anna. And then there was one called Hannah. And then there was one with Angelina Jolie called Salt. and I think this movie most reminds me of the Angelina Jolie one in certain aspects of the story.
I feel a future top 5 list coming on.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
They say Long Kiss
I
Goodnight,
can totally
Atomic
see that.
Blonde. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think with this one, that was part of the problem. It just felt familiar in a lot of the ways that there was nothing to really differentiate this movie from some of those other ones within the context of the plot. And she's this assassin who the organization she's working for, it seems to be that they don't feel that she's up to the job anymore. So whenever you're in that line of work, that next step is to take you out. And then she kind of gets wind of that going on, and it kind of plays into the story. The thing that I think that's different here is that it sort of plays out as the main story, the big thing that happens, and that aspect of getting to try and take her out plays more throughout the film as an aspect that's sort of not to the background of the whole thing, but in a way that it's not the first part. Because some of those other movies, it seems to happen where the lead does something that the organization doesn't like, and then they try and take her out within the first 20 minutes of the movie, and then it becomes this thing of that person now being on the offensive and trying to take out the other people. Well, this kind of plays it in a different way, where it's more like that doesn't happen right away, that it plays it for the long game kind of thing. And so it doesn't quite go within the same cadence of some of those other movies, but ultimately it's still that same familiarity in that storyline. But the main big thing I think that was the drawback of the movie was that for no reason whatsoever that I can really discern, they decided to throw in this love triangle part in it. It just felt very much like a soap opera with the aspects of it. And I was like, this is unnecessary. I don't even know why this had to be as an idea of a storyline. It does nothing for the character in the way that some other way that they could have written this would have done and handled it better. This just feels like drama for drama's sake. And so I think that kind of helped to bring it down for me too, in terms of how much I was enjoying it. When there's action going on, it's quite good actually in that respect. And there's some scenes that even happen between Colin Farrell and John Malkovich that I really liked. But there's not that much action throughout the entirety of the film to hold it together, I think, to make it really good. If you were looking for a movie like this, I would suggest Salt over this. I think it does what it sets out to do a lot in a better way than this does. But again, it's not a bad movie. It's just that with so much other stuff out there that's really worth your time, this isn't something I feel like I would go out and pay for if you didn't want to, if you have that opportunity. So I guess I bit the bullet for you. You don't have to go do that.
Yeah,
you can watch something else.
Thanks, Bobby.
It's a bummer hearing they tried to have her have like a love interest or some kind of like cheesy love triangle thing, because in my opinion, it's kind of a Hollywood trope. Like, we're going to have a really cool chick and we're going to have her, be just a big badass and she's going to be amazing. But it's like, they can't ever just let the woman be that character. She always has to have some kind of a love situation to play on her emotionally. And I say, like, I super get it. Like, you look at James Bond or you look at, like, Jason Bourne, there is a love situation happening there that plays on their emotions. But there's other action figures and action heroes that they don't have love interests or love situations or emotional situations.
Right.
That's playing on their reasons and backings of why they do things. But as soon as it's a woman lead for the action film, the Hollywood trope is there has to be some kind of an emotional love situation that has the woman either confused and conflicted or torn or just pissed off. And it has to play on her emotionally to help push her character to do the things that she does. And it's really annoying that it does that all the time. And I say that, and like, again, the film Long Kiss Goodnight, I love that movie. Like, I thought it was fabulous. And the whole situation there is her love for her child, and that's what's pushing her. But still, like, it's played out. It's just frustrating to see that they're constantly putting the female leads in the situation where they have to have this emotional thing. And I'm just like, can't they? It's just not. Like, let's try it. Maybe. Like, I don't know. Like, it's kind of old, in my opinion, my little feminist opinion, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, just from watching the trailer, I kind of got that sense of, this seems like nothing new. I think I'm good.
Right.
Like, as much as I like Jessica Chastain and basically everyone else, I do.
Yeah, it's a great cast.
As you do.
And everyone else in that movie, it's like, yeah, well, I think I'll pass.
I mean, it's a perfect example to me of having a great cast and not giving them enough to do, really. There's some different standouts in the movie and some good stuff happening there, but ultimately it just goes to show that really you have to have the writing there to support such a fantastic cast. And I don't think that they necessarily had that in this movie. I think there's some parts that are good, but it's what's good doesn't, I wouldn't say it's overly different than what's good in other movies of the same type of genre. It doesn't, again, say anything new or do anything new or do anything that's been done in a good, clever way. It's just sort of repeating those steps.
No, that's a bummer.
It was a bummer.
We didn't go to a theater, but we did watch a movie at home this weekend.
We did, and it was actually, it's funny because I remember thinking we were going between two films.
Yeah, we were kind of torn. The movie we ended up watching, it wasn't like it came out of nowhere. I'd been considering wanting to see this as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a coin toss between two Netflix movies. We ended up watching The Boys in the Band.
Yep.
Which, for those that don't know, it's based on a Broadway show from 1968, which became a film like 2 years later.
It was a Tony Award-winning Broadway show.
It was.
Based in 1968.
I'm curious by Bobby's smile. It's throwing me off.
Sorry.
I feel like he's ready to say something.
I actually wasn't going to say anything.
Oh,
It was
okay.
just I was smiling, but I didn't realize,
Was it
smiling.
hey, he watched something smile?
Or hey, we all
No,
watched the same thing. Smile.
Both of those are wrong.
Oh, okay.
It
So you
was
didn't see it. But yeah,
No,
and
it was hey.
go
So
ahead.
the smile, I was just going to explain the smile. The smile was hey, he did that thing that I was just talking about him doing a couple weeks ago, where I was like, when you do watch something, it's never the thing that I'm thinking it's going to be like something that everyone's heard of kind of thing. It's always something that's like, how did he even come about wanting to see this thing that I've never heard of?
Oh, you never heard of
I
it?
hear of everything.
you haven't?
I have not heard of it.
Oh, okay. Actually,
well.
I wasn't aware that this was coming on Netflix so soon. Actually, I was listening to NPR one day
I
this
thought it was
week,
coming later too.
and Jim Parsons was on NPR. I don't know if it was Fresh Air or what, talking about it. And then, going into Netflix, it was definitely in their top 10. So decided to go watch the trailer, and this looks good. But I mean, it was based on a Tony Award winning play. That was a film. That film, it was the original cast from the Broadway show. And one thing I didn't realize is that's the same case with this film. This film is the full cast from the 2018 revival of that show. And I mean, this includes Jim Parsons, Zachary Quinto, was it Matt Bomer, Andrew Reynolds, if I'm saying his name right?
What's his name? Jesus.
Robin De Jesus,
Yep. And then
Brian Hutchinson, Charlie Carver,
what's his name? Tuck
Tuck Watkins.
Tuck.
But
It's really good.
the movie was really good. It's definitely a play.
Yes.
For sure. You know, you're watching it, and it's kind of, it reminds me, of course, of, I think what I came up with that top 5 list recently, where it was like top 5 movies that all take place in the same room or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is definitely that kind of movie. I mean, it's almost completely in one room in an apartment. And you can tell that from the trailer. And that's one of the things that interested me watching the trailer. I tend to like movies like that, that are just really dialogue heavy, and you can tell that it just feels like a play. And if anything, I just found myself watching it going, this would be a really good play. Not to say that this movie is bad, but there's a part of me that's like, it seems like it would be better as a play. But it worked as a movie. The performances were great, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. What'd you think, Michelle?
No, we're 100% on the same page. Like, I really enjoyed this film. I think the casting is spectacular. The acting is really good. The story is exceptional. It's you're watching it. Yeah, it's obviously it's a play. But there's nothing wrong with that, and it still conveys really well on the screen. It's definitely a film that, because it's a very it deals with some pretty heavy topics. It's definitely sink into your couch and you're gonna watch this. And I say that, and there's some snarky humor jokes in there that definitely make you chuckle. You and I are actually giggling a few times.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty serious film. Story, I guess I should say. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Jim Parsons is spectacular in this film as the lead, as the lead Michael. It's yeah, he's really good. And Zachary Quinto I thought was really good. I love Zachary Quinto and almost everything he does. It was nice because he played a role that it's a strong role, but it's a role that kind of sits back and it's an observatory role. But when he does talk, it's like, dude, it's heavy. But no, it's really it was a good one to watch. Basically, it's a group of friends that get together for a birthday. Zachary Quinto's character, Harold, it's his birthday. They get together to celebrate his birthday, and you know, it's a group of gay men in 1968 in New York City. So it's not something that you get to do that often. You don't get to be kind of yourself when you're in 1968 as a gay man. But they, you know, behind closed doors, they all kind of got to let their hair down and chill and relax and, you know, be catty and silly with each other and tell jokes. But then at one point in the story, the mood changes heavily, and there's I'll say a game with air quotes that gets played. And it's deep. But it's quite something to watch. But they talk about everything. They talk about, you know, the gay situation that they're dealing with at the time, and even things that are relevant now to this day. They talk about race relations and racial inequality and issues that go on with that. But then they also just talk about, I don't know, it's just a plethora of things. So it's really quite excellent. But no, I could see being in a theater with people and just loving seeing this on stage. I think it would be spectacular. And I like that they kept a few things that were very play-esque. Like, the game they play involves them using a telephone, but you never hear the other person on the telephone speaking. It's just their side of the telephone talking. It's just them reacting to what the other person's saying. So it's like little things like that I actually really enjoyed in the movie, kind of having, it's like, yep, I kind of felt like I was still watching a play. And even when they were moved from different areas in the apartment, you know, when they would go from, say, the balcony outside to the inside, it kind of was a one smooth transition. Or when they would, like, go from the living room up to, say, the bedroom that was in the loft, it was kind of a smoother transition. Like, you're following a person go up there. It was just kind of, it just felt like you're watching a play on TV. And I liked it. I love it. I would recommend it for everybody to enjoy. My opinion. If
they had one criticism about it, and I'm curious if you got this kind of same sense, Michelle. I don't know, maybe not, but you know, without talking spoilers, you mentioned how the movie definitely there's a point where the kind of atmosphere definitely takes a turn. And if anything, there was something about my experience watching it. I felt like the movie didn't do a good enough job kind of setting up that turn. Like, it felt a little like wait, well, how is this happening now? I don't know that I'm putting that the right way, but
I think we were talking about, and I think without talking spoilers, we're going to talk about it.
Right, but I'm just saying in general, that is maybe something I feel like probably a stage production of it would do a better job at getting you there. But watching it, it did feel like when it takes this turn, it felt a little like, this doesn't. How is this happening now?
No, I'm with you.
This doesn't seem like we naturally got to this point.
It's a character development moment that I think was lost in translation in the film.
Right.
That I think if you were in the play, you would get that more. if you were watching it on stage. Whereas in the movie, I think that transition, that character's personality and the situation that starts the tide changing, I think that got lost in translation.
I agree. I think it's that character in particular.
I'll agree. It seemed swift, but looking back, there are setups for it. I just don't think it was explained that well on the screen.
There were definitely setups, but I agree. I don't think it was portrayed well enough on screen.
But overall,
good movie, great performances by everybody. But I mean, the standouts definitely Jim Parsons. Zachary Quinto is just fun to watch in this movie. I mean, he's really good in it, but his character is he's really good in that role, and everyone's great. Everyone's good.
What was the actor's name that plays the youngest guy? I'll call him the cowboy.
The cowboy. I don't know, actually.
Because I'll be honest with you, to play that level of a character, that's good acting. I was like, to play this character.
It was Charlie Carver, I think.
Charlie Carver. Kiddo, good job to play that role so well. That's actually hard to play that type of a character. That was good.
And this film, by the way, it's also from, it's produced by Ryan Murphy. For those who aren't familiar with him, he's responsible for Glee, Nip Tuck.
What was the one we just watched?
Hollywood on...
Yeah, Hollywood.
On Netflix.
Yeah.
Ratchet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he is doing Ratchet. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot. That was something that we threw out the other night, too. But the one movie that we were going between was Enola Holmes, which I still really would like to watch because...
I would still like to see that, yeah.
I'm such a stupid Sherlock fan. I love Sherlock.
So that's The Boys in the Band.
Anyways, yeah, The Boys in the Band. I recommend it, Bobby. You should check it out. It's a little serious, so check it on a night where you're like, I'm in the mood for something a little more depths of my soul.
Okay.
A little thinker, a little cerebral. Get in there.
I'll make a note when I'm looking for
Like you
soul
feel
searking.
you feel like you want to go see a serious stage
You want to
play.
go see? Yeah, you want a serious stage play where you can go. I'm thinking. Has me thinking. My gears in my head. Well, it's a really interesting topic they brought up. Well, that's a point. I never thought about things.
This movie had me thinking, by the way, of I feel like this is something that maybe Bobby you brought up. This kind of like experience with seeing movies and the context in which you see them and how that maybe affects your enjoyment of them.
Okay, we've
Like-
kind of touched on this in conversations.
Like watching this movie, don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoyed it, as we just both said. But watching it at home on Netflix, I felt like as I was watching it, I already had maybe a different opinion of it, as opposed to, say, if I had gone to my local art house theater and seen this film, I might have felt differently. And I'm not saying that's a fair thought, but maybe an honest one. Like, does that?
No, I totally know what you're saying, especially with this film, like, because I know our art house, like, and I know that usually when we see films in our art house, there's an experience about our little art house. It's really adorable, and it just kind of puts you in that kind of off-center traditional Hollywood film mindset. It just puts you in the we're watching an independent film kind of mindset. It just switches you kind of over to it automatically, just walking in there.
Right.
And so I think you already kind of have that going for you. And yeah, I feel like if I had seen this in our little art house theater, I'll just say it. If we saw this at the Indian, excellent theater in Orlando, Florida. If we saw this at the Indian, I would probably have walked out of there almost in tears, loving this film so much. I probably would have been like, this was effing awesome and epic. I could see that.
Right.
I could see my opinion being even heightened.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it. And you would like to think it shouldn't matter, like how you saw it, but it, like, seeing it on Netflix at home, and nothing against Netflix, seeing it on any streaming service at home, just felt different. But yeah, like watching the movie, it definitely felt like that kind of movie that I would see at a theater like the Enzian or something like that. But that's what made me think of that. It was just kind of a feeling I got while watching it. I was kind of curious if I was out of my mind for feeling that way about it. But anyway.
So I didn't really watch anything else other than trailers.
Well, Bobby, it looked like you were going to maybe
Bobby probably watched a lot more stuff than I did.
No, no. I went through a lot of what I watched last week, so you didn't have to hear some of those things. But this week, I've just been mostly watching the shows that have been on that I keep up that are current right now, and then the Ava movie. But the other thing that kind of dropped this week, I think, was the news story that caught everyone off guard because it was in regards to the Spider-Man 3 movie. And
Oh,
they
that news
said
story.
that,
Oh, okay. That big news story this week. I was thinking of a totally different big news story this week.
yeah, so I'm keeping it relative to
I'm
what
hilarious.
we normally talk about.
Trying
There
to
is
stay out of
other
politics,
news
Michelle.
stories.
I know. I'm sorry. I was just joking.
No one's looking at us for politics. So,
It's 2020. I got to get some levity to my life somewhere. Anyways, other news topics.
no,
Yes, that news
other
topic
news
is a good one.
topics. Yeah, that although this actor did play the president at one point in time, but that Jamie Foxx is going to be in the Spider-Man 3 movie. And yeah, I don't think anyone saw that coming. No one had that on their, the dance card for things that could possibly happen in a future MCU movie.
Yeah, I have
But-
questions. So I'm hoping you're going to answer a lot
Yeah.
of them.
Go for it, because obviously we don't know much other than they just dropped the news, and Jamie Foxx had on Instagram basically confirmed the fact that he was back. But yeah,
So Jamie Foxx
I have.
was in
Go ahead.
another Spider-Man, right?
That's right. He was in Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield.
Oh, okay.
Which I found out tonight. You've never seen an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie.
Is that right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, she never has.
And I say that. I think one time, like, David was playing the first one in the house with the kids, and like I had been out and came in at one point in the middle of it, and it was just like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna sit down and watch this because I haven't
Didn't
watched it. It
start
was like
it,
somewhere
yeah.
in the middle of the film, so I was
Right.
like, yeah. So I've seen it, but not watched it. Anyways, okay, so he was in the second Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield.
Yes. And I think that's what's the confusing part, because
Yeah.
so far with everything that they've been doing, they have made sure that there's a distinction between the Andrew Garfield series of Spider-Man movies and the Tobey Maguire original series of Spider-Man movies. So to throw Jamie Foxx's character of Electro into this movie, what does that mean? Does it mean that they're exploring the multiverse and this is the same character from the Andrew Garfield movie in this movie? Or is he still, like you would see maybe in a different multiverse of a movie, the exact same person and character, but his origins are slightly different, but the result is still the same, except for tweaks in some way, that he's part of this current MCU universe, but just hasn't been through the experiences that the one from the Andrew Garfield version went through. So we don't know. All that
Right.
we know that is that that Jamie Foxx had tweeted, which he was or put on Instagram, which he was told to take down, that he won't be blue. And in the Andrew Garfield movie of Spider-Man, Electro was blue colored. And also in that Instagram picture, there was a picture of him in the background as the blue Electro, which is what people are familiar with seeing him as. But he was in the sky, and in the foreground, on the ground looking up at him, was all three people who played Spider-Man: Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland. And so it's like, are we going to be getting all three of these Spider-Men and a Spider-Verse in the MCU?
Tobey Maguire has so much work to do. But
and and you know, the fact that he had to take the post down, and that he would be so specific in that type of imagery of having those three together, maybe. So
multiverse,
David-
multiverse.
why do you hate this idea?
Why do I hate this idea? And I do. I hate this
Well, that's
idea.
funny. I love it.
I can tell.
I think this is awesome.
I think
Why do I hate this idea? I mean, I have a feeling you probably understand my reasoning. You probably don't agree with it, but
I suspect.
I mean, I only hate this idea because now it seems like it's everywhere. First of all, we had Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which
Right.
was fantastic. Now we're getting, it sounds like a DC film, the Flash film, which is going to go down that road of introducing a multiverse for the DC universe, the DCEU,
I'm the Doctor Strange.
which sounds great. Like, it'll be a way to kind of reboot things in a way for the DC films, which have been kind of a mess, but yet at the same time, we still have the wonderful things about DC. It just seems like something that works, and it's definitely based on, a comic book story arc that happened not too long ago in DC Comics. That's something I'm excited about. And now it's like, okay, now on the Marvel side, here's another multiverse story. and not only that, but it seems like I'm not saying this is going to be a remake, like a live action remake of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I don't get the impression that that's what's going to happen. But it's not only are we doing a multiverse thing in Marvel, but it's like almost a live action replica of something we got that was already fantastic. Like I don't need it. I don't want it. Like, it would be one thing if, as an example, say DC were remaking one of their animated films, live action. Because for me, those animated films, as good as a lot of them are, they're just not as popular or kind of in the mainstream as something like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was. I mean, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse had a theatrical run. It was a very popular film. Like, it did very well for itself.
It was Oscar nominated.
So if we were going down the road of like remaking that, which again, I don't think that's necessarily what they're doing, but that's unnecessary, and maybe that distinction I'm making isn't fair. It's just kind of, for me, that would work. It would work to go, okay, this DC animated film that we put out was fantastic. We should just make a live action version of that. I'd be like, okay. But here, to basically do the same kind of story that we did in Spider-Verse, but just make it live action now, I'm like...
But we don't know that it's going to be exactly
We
the
don't,
same
but
thing.
the question is, if that's the case, am I a fan? And I'm not. That's what I'm saying. We don't know that that's the case. But if we're doing like a multiverse story where we're going to get a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Tom Holland all together, I mean, don't get me wrong, in one sense, that seems like, oh, that could be fun, but it just feels like now it's everywhere. And maybe saying I hate the idea is a bit strong, but I'm not a fan. This just doesn't do anything for me. That's my reasoning. That's where I am with this.
Michelle, you seem to be more warm
Positive?
to the idea. Yeah.
No, I think it's kind of cool. And, it doesn't mean that just because it's a multiverse story that it means that it has to have that those characters are even on screen for even a very long time. It could just be like a glimpse or a glimmer for a few minutes. It doesn't mean that they have to be on screen for an eternity or a good portion of the film. So I guess if it kind of went that direction, I think it'd be great. And I think it'd be exciting if there was like a small team up, like somebody got pulled in somewhere and then they're there for like a couple of, 15 minutes or something. It's in the middle of an action scene. They can be like, hey, you're me and I'm you, but oh, hey, Jamie Foxx is going to try to kill both of us. So let's maybe just take care of that and then we'll do our own thing and then I'll go back to my life. Okay, cool. Let's do that. I'm cool with something like that. That'd be kind of fun. But yeah, if they were like to remake Into the Spider-Verse, that would bum me out. But it doesn't sound like that's what they're doing. I mean, do they have any other characters? Bobby, do they have any other characters that are mentioned yet? Who's going to be in this?
Nope.
Like,
Nothing yet.
Because yeah, if they were like, oh, we're putting Doc Ock in, or we're doing this, I'd be like, oh man, they are doing that. But to even have just Jamie Foxx's character, I'm kind of like, maybe it's not the same thing. I mean, and I'll be honest, like if they did a multiverse, like it'd be cool to see a live action Spider-Gwen, like, and who would do that? That'd be amazing. Like that's exciting. Just other I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. I'm down with it, and I acknowledge, like, yeah, Doctor Strange is doing basically a multiverse thing. Um, and then yeah, DC's got theirs, which I'm on board with. I think that's going to be a good little revamp for them.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it does in a way feel like right now everybody's in this whole multiverse thing. Everybody's loving the multiverse, you know, like that's what's happening on CW with all the
Mm-hmm.
shows happening there with DC. So it's like I get that it's kind of a thing right now, and it's probably getting slightly played out, but I don't know. I'm hip to this. I think this sounds pretty fresh.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, David, and
And I
I think
wholeheartedly
that
disagree.
no, I get where he's coming from, and I agree to a certain extent, and that it does seem to be a little bit of everywhere. Like Michelle mentioned, that they just had the CW run of their Crisis on Infinite Earths last year, where it was a lot of multiverse stuff, and now to see those in the movies, it's kind of, will it get overplayed, that a whole idea. I think what I do like about it is it's not too dissimilar from, if you take it back and pull back the picture a little bit, they kind of did the same thing when it came to heroes fighting heroes, because DC had their Batman versus Superman movie. And then on the other side, that was when Marvel was doing Civil War, and they had everyone fighting each other. So it was like we went through a little phase where heroes were fighting heroes. And now I guess multiverse seems to be the same two things that they're doing both at the same time. So I think the the part that doesn't bother me about them doing the same thing is that it's not something that carries through, like, for a super long period of time. It's going to be one and done, at least from the DC version. MCU, who knows? Because there's a lot of aspects of what WandaVision could be that could be multiverse tinged, which is also tied into what could be with Doctor Strange, with multiverse being in the title of the movie. And that could also be played into here with the Spider-Man 3. Um, my biggest thing is I wouldn't mind seeing the three people who played Spider-Man together in a movie. Um, my only hesitation there is that I would really love to see Tom Holland have his own Spider-Man movie with no assist, because in the first two movies, there was, at least within the first one, you've had Tony Stark and Iron Man, and then even in the second, that sort of hangs over things. And to see him be able to hold a movie where it's just him and it's just his enemies and stuff, it'd be nice to see that, because we haven't gotten that with him.
Yeah.
But I can understand why they want to have this whole thing kind of crossing over and blending with some of the other aspects, if it's part of this long game storytelling that they're building towards another event. And that's where I kind of think I like it, is because it's probably more than likely, knowing Kevin Feige, building to another event. And so there's a reasoning for it. It's not just doing it just
Yeah.
because it's the popular thing, and that it's like, let's jump on that bandwagon and let's just do a whole bunch of fan service thing. I think it's probably something that Kevin Feige had already had planned out, and that this is part of it, and who knows how it will be. Because my hard part believing in the idea of the three of them together in this movie comes from how do you where does that multiverse aspect come into play here in Spider-Man? If Spider-Man is coming out before Doctor Strange, I could see if it was reversed, and then seeing some ramifications from
Mm.
Doctor Strange movie playing out into the rest of the Marvel universe. But with Spider-Man coming first, I don't see how they would introduce that there first, or maybe even within Ant-Man, there could be possibilities of multiverse stuff going on there. So I don't know still how Spider-Man would be able to kind of have that aspect before some of those other movies would. So that's why I still kind of lean towards, maybe this is the MCU's version of Electro, played by the same actor. It'd be like, if there was a Bobby in a multiverse of an Earth that's Earth 2023, it'd still be me, but maybe my life experiences would be different in some way. And in this version of the Earth, it's the same Electro played by Jamie Foxx, but his experiences are different, and it leads to the same result. But somehow, obviously, he won't be blue in that way. But maybe what could happen in this way, it could be like with him being Electro. There's already been other characters introduced to where it could be a Sinister Six film in this third Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, they do kind of keep hinting towards that.
Yeah, we have Michael Keaton, we had Scorpion, there's a few others that have come, so that they could have a Sinister Six. And then maybe what happens within this movie could eventually find its way into Doctor Strange movie, where maybe Doctor Strange movie serves as the how the third Captain America film was, which was Civil War, which was, a lot of people said it was Avengers 2.5. So maybe Doctor Strange is Avengers 3.5, and where that you might see a whole bunch of other people from the MCU appear in his movie. And maybe within the multiverse of madness, we get a scene with Tom Holland, and then there's a scene with the other two in that, as opposed to in this. So who knows? There's a lot of possibilities and a lot of questions. And I'm curious just to see how it all plays out, because having Jamie Foxx in as Electro does make the possibilities more interesting and intriguing, because it means a certain sort of thing, because he's already been in the movies before. So yeah, I am very, very curious by it. I'm not completely sold on it, because I don't know what they're doing yet. But I'm also open to what they're doing, because I know it's Kevin Feige, and I really trust what he tends to do with things.
No. And just to clarify too, I'm also not completely hating on the idea for the same reasons, because we don't know what's really happening. I guess I'm more hating on the possible speculation of the kind of thing it could mean. But hopefully there's good reasoning behind why they're doing what they're doing. I guess my first gut reaction is if they're doing that, but my first gut reaction, just the already maybe tired out multiverse thing, is even before we've even gotten a lot of it, I'm already like, oh God, we haven't even seen the DC movie yet, but is this going to get old fast?
Well, and it depends on the execution too,
right?
Because they both could be doing the exact same thing and do it in ways that are both pleasing, or one does it better than the other. Who knows? We don't know.
Right, I don't.
I was just going to say real quick, since we're on MCU and we're kind of on casting, like, what are we thinking about? Because I saw a YouTube video, and it seems like it's a very rumor-filled YouTube video, so I don't really know. But I will say the thoughts about, like, John Krasinski doing a multiverse version of Captain America, I think is pretty cool. And then I guess there's ideas of, like, Doctor Doom showing up in Doctor Strange, and I don't know, like, I think it could be really interesting, all this interesting multiverse, and I think it could really bring together the MCU and other characters that we just haven't had the opportunity to have yet, and I would like to start seeing them moving forward, like, I'm looking forward to a day that we can get some more X-Men, like, and things like that. So it's like little things that are happening. So even if it happens in Spider-Man 3 a little bit, and then in Doctor Strange it continues, like, it excites me because they're characters that I enjoy. And yeah, like, I'm looking forward to, I know you guys probably talked about last week, but I'm stupid excited for WandaVision, and like seeing that trailer. Oh, Be Still My Heart. That looks amazing. I'm so excited for it. And I love seeing like the sets of old TV shows that I've known and loved, and the ramifications of that. Yeah. And it looping into Doctor Strange again. Like, it's just, there's all these little things that I'm so excited for, and I'm just like chomping at the bit to start getting some of this stuff. And damn you, COVID, for pushing everything back. Like, I'm just like, there's so many cool things that are gonna be happening that gets me excited. So,
well, we'll still get it. It's just a matter of when.
I know. I'm just impatient.
Yeah. it's getting old having to wait. Trust me, I understand.
You know,
I mean, hearing that No Time to Die got moved again. I mean, not to circle back to that, but it was just like, man, I really want to see this Bond movie.
I really wanted to see Wonder Woman 84.
I know, and I was just gonna say it's probably kind of like your Wonder Woman 84.
I mean, I want to see the Bond movie too.
I
but...
want to see No Time to Die. Like, really, like at this point now, it's delayed a year. Like,
and
yeah.
I'm hoping it stays at Christmas right now for Wonder Woman 84, but God, I don't think it's going to.
Right.
Like, so no, it's. Anyways, now I'm going to another thing, but anyways, that's all I got.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I was gonna say we're starting to run out of time, but if anybody has like their last, hey, I had one last thing I wanted to talk about.
I wanted to talk trailers.
All right, Michelle's. What's yours?
I wanted to talk trailers a little bit.
Which trailer?
Well, what I really want to talk about is the trailer that dropped this week for Ronald Dahl's The Witches. And obviously it's a Ronald Dahl, the author, wrote a book called The Witches. And I don't know when the original was made, the original film with Angelica Houston. I think it was a UK produced film back in the early 80s, mid 80s maybe. And now is being recreated today with Anne Hathaway as the lead, and Octavia Spencer. And yeah, I just gotta say I watched this trailer because I used to watch this movie when I was a kid and it scared me, but I loved it. And so finding out this was happening, it's going to be on HBO Max, right? HBO Max?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had to watch this trailer, and I gotta tell you guys, honestly, for me, it gave me the feels. I know some people are hating on it. They're like, oh, another remake. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm here for this one. The casting is great. Stanley Tucci is playing the hotel manager. Like, this looks adorable, and I'm here for it. It gives me all the feels. Like, I finished that trailer, and I've watched it 3 times now, and each time I'm just like...
Wow.
Gets me a little emotional, and I'm like, God, this is gonna be so good, and like I can't wait to see it. Like, I'm looking forward to like watching it with like David's kids. Like, I'm hopefully they'll enjoy it the way I liked the original when I was a kid. Hopefully it gives them that like, I'm scared, but I like the scared feeling I'm having, because that's how the original was for me. Because yeah, Angelica Houston, when she turns into the witch, oh, that was the scariest witch ever when I was a kid. But no, I'm super excited about The Witches. I don't know if either of you have history. Apparently, David does not have history with this film or this book.
I've never seen it.
But,
And I
I'm
mean,
in the same boat, unfortunately.
oh, you
sorry.
guys, this movie was like such our time. It was like
so
you guys we were the right
I'll
ages.
just say, me watching this trailer, having never seen that or other film, I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, it seems like a kids movie. Like, maybe my kids will enjoy it. That's kind of. I have no previous attachment to what this is based on to have, I think, the reaction that you're obviously having, which that's awesome that you're so excited about it. I'll be honest, I did not expect that, but I also didn't know that you had an attachment to the original movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I watched the trailer actually tonight for the first time, and I was like, okay. I mean, I like the cast, so this could be good, I guess. That's kind of where I am.
The casting's really good.
Right.
I'm down with the casting, and honestly, Anne Hathaway is the lead. I think it's good. I'm excited.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch the trailer yet, so maybe I'll check that out and see if it interests me to check it out once it hits HBO Max. They've been slowly starting to build their stuff of shows and movies, so yeah.
Well, check it out, Bobby, and let us know what you think. There was another trailer that we watched this evening that I didn't realize was happening either.
The Craft.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't?
Maybe I did know that it was happening. I don't know, but that was another movie, and obviously it was not a very spectacular movie. But at the time it came out, I was the exact age for this movie. I was the exact demographic for this movie. So yeah, I watched the absolute crap out of The Craft, and I enjoyed it. And to this day, it's still kind of one of those, like, if it was on TV and I was flipping through, I'd be like, yeah, let's watch The Craft, But
yeah, I guess going into it, I for some reason just assumed it was a remake, but I quickly realized, okay, I guess this is not a remake. This is like
it's a continuation.
Follow-up kind of thing.
I don't know. I'm not hating on it, but I'm not loving it. But I'm gonna watch
Okay.
it. That's where I'm at with it. I'll put it that way. I'm curious. It's piqued my
What was it
interest.
called? The Craft just Legacy? Is that what it
The
was?
Craft Legacy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's piqued my interest. That's
Do you
all I'm gonna
have
say.
experience with it, David, too?
I mean,
Or
I
no?
saw The Craft like maybe once. Like, it's
Okay.
fine.
Not like over and over like I did.
I did not see it over and over.
Again, I was the demographic.
I
right
mean,
here.
I'm familiar with it enough
Yeah.
that I was like, okay, I'm curious to see what's going on here. And watching the trailer, yeah, I don't know. It would be, hey, this is on Netflix. I'll watch this.
Right.
Would I go to
sure.
the theater to see this? Which, you know, say
Even
what you
I'm
will
kinda-
about that experience, but yeah, that I probably would not do. No,
Yeah.
that's where I am with it.
Anyways, that's
Anyways,
all I really had.
Bobby,
I
any,
highly recommend
any
The Witches.
last thing that you're like, hey, I really want to talk about?
No,
this?
I think we got it all out, and it wasn't a super heavy week for news, but I think there was at least that big story there with
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx, and I'm sure there'll be some more stuff. It seems like at least once a week now, there's some sort of pretty big news drop of something that's interesting enough to have a discussion about. So I'm curious and anticipating what we'll get next week. Hopefully something cool and
Right.
good to talk about.
Where did I hear the
if they drop
rumor?
another-
Somebody was like rumoring that like there was some Star Wars news coming like in a week or two. Did you hear about that?
I didn't, but I was actually just about to ask you a question about Star Wars, and I don't know that there is any rumors of any information or anything about Star Wars. But I was going to say, if they drop a second trailer for Mandalorian, do you plan on watching that trailer?
Oh, at this point, no. Why?
Yeah.
It's coming out at the end of the
No.
month. Like, I mean, I guess I say that, and the show could be coming out in 4 months, and I probably still am like, I'm excited about it. I'm good. I don't need to see any more from that show.
Yeah,
I'm watching that.
think-
so.
It's one of those things like it's happening. It's
Yeah.
like I never really even I don't even think I think I watched the trailer for The Boys one time for season 2 and then I was like, oh, cool, I don't need to see more. I'm watching The Boys season 2. Like this is going to happen. Like there's no question about the fact that that's going to happen. So
And I mean, on that note, like, I don't know that I said this because I think you did, Bobby. And I don't know if I agreed with you, but I did have the same feeling about the Batman. Like
no.
that trailer for the Batman, I enjoyed
see
so
that.
much,
Yeah.
and we are what, a year away now. You know, as of
There
now,
will be more
we'll see
trailers.
if we're a year away. But as of right now, we're a year away from the Batman. Part of me is like, maybe I'll pull a Bobby on this one. I'm not going to watch anything else for the Batman. I'm kind of tempted to avoid anything else from that movie.
Yeah.
To build any
Well,
more
we'll see.
anticipation for you. You're like, I'm excited enough and I'm good. I get the gist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I've
I
really
mean, I wanted
started
to
to
see the
turn into
general
it.
look, and now we've seen it, and I'm
Right.
good.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead, Bobby.
I was just going to say what you just said, really, is that I've sort of turned into someone that's just like, all right, I just need to see an initial trailer to get a feel and of the look and the vibe that they're going for of this thing that I'm going to go see. So I don't need to see more than that. And beyond that, it's going to get into territories where I'm seeing more that I want to see because
Yeah.
now I would want to see that thing in context as opposed to in this quick trailer. And I think that that's kind of where I am with the Batman and where I would be with the Mandalorian as well. I just need to see, just give me a little taste. And then after that, then I can wait. You've given me enough to give me that sort of fiend kind of taste. And then I can just be, all right, I'm good. And I had my fix and I can be okay until I can get the whole thing once it's ready. So, yeah, I think that's where I'm at with it. But as far as any new Star Wars news, I will be on the lookout for it. But I have not heard that rumor that there's might be something coming out for something
I
Star
forget
Wars
where I
related next week.
heard that.
I can't even
but-
imagine what it would be, honestly, at this point, because the only thing that we really know about are the TV stuff. And so maybe there could be something related to that.
Yeah.
Can I just mention how I love that now we're at a point where we say pulling a Bobby, and that means not watching trailers or getting visuals for things in movies, and then we say pulling a Yasha, and that's basically putting your top 5 list together as you go, as you're giving the top 5 list.
No.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the day when we all each have one. I'm pulling a David, and then we
I just didn't watch it.
Yeah, right.
pulling Michelle. God only knows what that is.
The only other thing I was going to touch on, not that there's anything to discuss here, but we also heard the news that there's going to be a Lion King 2.
Oh yeah.
Directed by Barry Jenkins, right?
Yeah, Barry Jenkins.
And I'm bringing it up because I like hating on stuff, and I have no effing desire to see this movie. Like zero movie. It's like,
nope.
Yeah, no.
Don't need it.
Like, I get that the live action version of The Lion King was a moneymaker, so obviously make a sequel to it, but nope, I'm good.
Nope.
I will not see it. I will avoid it at all costs kind of situation.
Like, of all the Disney live action ones, that's the one I think I like the absolute least.
That's not even a
Hands
doubt.
down.
Easily.
Like, it's no.
And I hate saying it because, man, I really like Jon Favreau. Like,
yeah,
he just seems like the kind of guy. It's like, man, we could be friends. Like, we could hang out. This guy's awesome. Like, The Mandalorian is amazing. Almost every other thing he's done has been great.
Yeah.
I hate hating on something he did.
It's just not that great.
It's just not. It's not good. You know. And in a way, I almost don't blame him. You know, I'm not saying this is his fault. It's just like the nature of the beast. Like, it's, if anything, I blame him for taking it on in the first place.
Yeah.
He should have looked at it and gone, you know what? No, I'm good. Of course he's going to take it. It's
Disney, and Disney's handing him a lot of really great opportunities.
Right.
And it's Disney, who was already doing great in his career, is done better. Now he's got like, but he's getting a lot of good stuff. Like, why would he say, no, maybe not that one? Like, I'm sure he says no to a lot of stuff that Disney pitches him. God only knows. But yeah, I feel like maybe he was so excited off the heels of Jungle Book that he was just like, yeah, let's do another Animal one. Yeah. And it was just like, no, it's fine. You read this? No. No.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame because Lion King is, you know, it's a good animated film. As David knows, it's not my favorite Disney animated film, actually. But, yeah, that live action was just, no, we don't need a second one. It's just not necessary at all.
But with all this hating said, they did attach Barry Jenkins to it. And I mean, I'm saying there's no way I'll see this movie. I should take that back. If a trailer comes out and it actually has some kind of a different look about it with the emotion of these live action animals, and we also just start hearing amazing things about this, like, Barry Jenkins is definitely a talented director.
Yes.
I could definitely be proven wrong, and I could be convinced that I will go, you know what, this is the movie we should have gotten the first time around or something. I don't know, you know. Well, but on the surface, just generally the announcement of a Lion King 2, that I'm like, I don't need to see this. Part of me wants to go, Barry Jenkins, don't do this. Like,
you want to write me an email and be like, Barry, look,
you have a lot of talent here.
Look,
like, please go do something else. I don't know how much money they threw at you to convince you to do this, but
bow out gracefully.
Please don't. That's kind of where I am.
I mean, no, did the Lion King live action like ruin Jon Favreau's career? Obviously not. But maybe you know, just take a few steps out, just bow out gracefully and say, you know what? I've after further thought and retrospect, I feel like this might not be the project for me personally.
Right.
Just an idea.
Barry Jenkins.
That's
my last thing. My last thought for the day.
We'll at Barry Jenkins on this episode just so he hears our opinions.
Right. Anything else before we get out of here, guys?
Bobby's like, man, the haterade for Lion King continues in Florida.
Sorry.
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent to the whole thing, honestly. I saw the first one and I liked it for what it was. I wasn't excited by the news. The name Barry Jenkins attached to it had me like, oh, okay. I wonder what he's going for. But my initial aspect of what I wanted to see in that first one, uh, I can't imagine anything within the second one grabbing me beyond that, unless the story is good. Because I just really wanted to see the photorealism look of these creatures and how that technology had progressed. So I figured I saw that. So I'm not going to get a better version of that in the second movie. I can't imagine it's going to look even more realistic because it looked pretty realistic as is. I couldn't say that they could have done a better job of that. It looked fantastic. So from that standpoint, I'm already satisfied in terms of that. So it just would be a matter of how the story goes. What's the new music that they're going to put into this that maybe will be catchy and that people will love or not love? So it's kind of more of a curiosity standpoint of where I'm looking at it from, and I will go see it regardless. But I'm just more like it wasn't something I was jumping up and down for joy of hearing the news. It's just like, okay, it makes sense. I guess it made a lot of money, but
Yeah.
I'm very curious because they're not following the animated sequel. They're doing their own kind of thing. So I'm like, well, let's see what they got in terms of a story and what they'll do with it. So that's kind of where I come at it from.
Real quick. I don't know why I just thought of this. I'm still looking forward to seeing the Jungle Cruise. When's that coming out? Summer?
Who knows? It got
Did
pushed like every other thing else did.
I know.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure
Sorry, I
it'll
just
be
was thinking Disney live action. And I was like, oh yeah, I actually was excited for Jungle Cruise. Crap. When was that coming out now?
Right now, it's dated for July 30th, 2021.
Oof. Gee, my knees.
Yeah,
It looked good.
makes sense.
I'm looking forward to that one, actually. Anyway, random thoughts. That just,
Yeah. Really? I'm
There we
looking forward to
go.
seeing it.
We have our Michelle. When I just
Just a
say
random-
something that has nothing to do with anything, it's
Nothing.
pulling a Michelle. It's just a random thought. We have a Michelle.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Well, you did it
Bobby
to
is
yourself.
brutal on my birthday weekend. Dang.
No, I mean, you wanted to have a something, so now you have a something.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we're going to wrap things up. As always, we would love to hear back from everyone listening and watching the show. You can email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to comment below. Please hit that thumbs up button if you have enjoyed the show. That helps other people find the show. Very helpful for that. Please do that. Also, you can reach out to us on Instagram and Twitter at Flicker_effect. And with that, I'm David Lott.
Happy birthday, Michelle.
Thank you, Bobby Jackson. And I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening and watching.